Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh. All right, welcome everyone to Rich Bitch, where we talk the real tea. And today we have Lana on the third time. And when I was thinking of topics to talk about, I realized what I'm going through is probably something that you've either gone through yourself already, Lana, or that you're also going through, which is becoming an adult while still nurturing and being in touch with your inner child. Because for me, it has been quite a real challenge. So, yeah, I just wanted to leave that in the middle for you to, pick out with whatever you like. So yeah, what do you think of that? What's your experience?
Oh wow, it's like it's not really a straightforward answer, I suppose, because like it feels like life at the minute. I'm going through so many different aspects of myself in just 1 minute. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. But yeah, so like at the moment, it kind of feels like I'm having to dedicate a lot more time to tune into that part of myself, or else I'm kind of feeling like mega stressed and anxious, which I've not felt in like a long time either. And that probably does actually play part of not nurturing my inner child as much as I should.
Yeah, wow, I really resonate. It really does feel like you're going through different versions of yourself and they just switch over and it's too fast to even catch up to recognize which part is showing up in this moment. And I do agree. I think when we nurture our inner child, that tends to slow down. And I felt this because there have been days where I really put focus around spending time with myself and nurturing myself and giving me my inner child and me what I needed that day. And then it was like very much a chill day. And then one day I won't do that because life happens. And it's like the most ungrounded, intense day I've ever experienced. So, yeah, I'm experiencing the exact same thing as you.
Yeah, I feel like it's active right now because I've been doing a lot of videos. Every day I'm kind of just posting videos relating to how I'm feeling, and the amount of responses and people I'm connecting to, it's actually crazy. I feel like it's definitely a theme. Um, this like it is literally like in an hour I experienced seven one teenage mother, one like unhealed version of myself or whatever it is, and it's like yeah, as you say, it's almost going so fast you can't even really pinpoint which version of you is up at the surface. And it has caused me a lot of anxiety as well. So I'm actually divinely grateful for this being the topic today because it's actually like an instant reminder to me that when I do take the time out to look after myself and nurture my needs without feeling selfish, and knowing I can do that, like it's okay to look after you. You look after everyone all the and putting you first in alignment with that because I feel like as a mum as well, the other day was the first time I've actually spent money on myself. And I took like £60 out of my savings. I was like, I'm just gonna let my hair down. And then as I'm like, oh, do I need that though? Do I need it? It's like, it doesn't matter if you need it. Is it gonna make you feel happy in the moment and benefit you in like a nurturing, loving way? That was the parts of me that were arguing that day. It was kind of like one part of me that's like, consumerism and da 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 and like all this and like, oh, but can you afford it? And then this one, it's like, just make you happy for once. That makes sense.
Yeah. With that because before becoming a mom, my money, like I with my money, like I wasn't frivolous with my feel guilty on myself ever.
Yeah.
Think, oh, I really and I would go and I'd be perfectly fine with it. They became, which is a natural thing, and
Yeah.
thought into everything I would buy, and that you just mentioned then was constantly in the back. Consumerism, you know, is into my life right now, and my happy. And now, Julia, it's sort of started to come, you know, because I've got more time for. I've in the house now. I've got my son, and so yeah, like girly is kind of not required, but it's back to the energy, like feeling girly and doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's more. I feel for myself, and this you're talking about in looking after yourself and caring for yourself. Really important, right? Feeling that anxiety, and we're in an hour, you know, and we're discovering old traumas and past hurts are coming up to be looked at. Don't balance it out with a bit of self-love, and then it's going to be such a rockier. We need to have that soft place to land for ourselves, to give that to ourselves, because, you know, if we.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, it's so true. It's actually like a part of self-care as well.
Yeah, exactly. How are you looking after yourself, Juliet?
Good question. I'm sometimes I do it through cooking my own nutritious food. Like yesterday, I had a beautiful yogurt and fruit bowl that I bought, that I made with fruit that I bought from the market that morning. What I do struggle to spend money sometimes, and the one thing that I will never that I'll never, what is it, go stingy on is food. That's the one thing I won't worry about money with. It's like, if I'm gonna buy something, it's gonna be food. And yeah. And so what else is there? There's sometimes it's taking a shower that day. And I know that sounds like so minimal, but in the lifestyle that I'm living, where you're living in a tent, you're going out every day, there's people around you all the time, taking a shower is ultimate self-care. Because it doesn't happen as much as you think it would. So that's another way. And also the main way is quality time with myself. So whether that's going to the beach or, you know, journaling, meditating, there's this big tree at the communal living space that I'm in, and this big tree has this deck around it, and it's a real nice hub for everyone for yoga, meditation, journaling. I did a woman's circle there the other night. It's just a huge spiritual place. And so I like to go there and spend time at this tree. There's small little things that I do, but I think where I go wrong is, or maybe not go wrong, but skip is when I'm not feeling good. I don't know how to support myself when I'm already in a negative space. I just like to ride it out and go through the motions of this negative space, and then I become really ungrounded and feel even worse, and then I have to pick myself up somehow at the end, and it's just it's too much. I've been finding a way to support myself during those dark moments and those dark lows. That's when I have to lift myself up and support myself. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that. So I'm so glad that Juliet just said that, because this is what I was thinking about when you were speaking. So when I'm on that kind of high vibe, I'm always kind of looking after myself. I'm always actively looking after myself as much as everyone else. But when I kind of fall back into those denser, more stickier aspects of reality and my own mind, it's like, yeah, they're the times you should be doing that the most. But then because you've gone into that, like, what way of thinking or whatever it is, you kind of avoid those things. You're like, no, I don't even want to have a bath. I'll just lie in my own sweat. But like, and you just avoid the things that you know are going to make you feel good, which is weird for me because, like, this year on a whole, every time I kind of went under into like a denser part of myself, I was doing all these amazing things to kind of get back, whether that meant like spending all night because I couldn't sleep, painting, drawing, doing cards, meditations. Like I was actively, every time I went under, trying to like elevate again and heal whatever that is that's coming up. But at the moment, I think because it is so intense with so many different aspects of me and like a lot of anxiety that comes with that, I actually really ever suffer with anxiety like this. So it's really intense. So because of that, I've actually not been on the ball with my self-care as much. But one thing I always will never not do, like this is my godsend, is I've got I call it a spell book now. It was just like, I always have a book that I've like always like had, like I'll get a new one as soon as that one ends. Because everything I've ever put into a book always comes true. It always manifests, whether that be loving myself, healing a part of myself, becoming viral on TikTok to heal the world, like whatever that is, it always seems to come true. So I'm like, that's one thing I'll never stop doing, because it always, even if I'm still feeling really dense and really sticky, I know that I'm bringing to creation what I would like to bring in.
I might bring that practice into my life. That's been on my mind recently. How do I continue to create? How do I manifest the things in the world that I want to see? And few girls are saying, when I feel particularly thick and yucky about all of that stuff, because I'm dealing with the heavy feelings. Some days it's just put one foot in front of the other, concentrating on being able to function. So that self-love and care and being soft with yourself kind of away. So I think that's a good practice to have. Continued writing your dreams, a place to fantasizing about the good that you want to see in the world. Kind of, I feel like that would be a really good practice. I'm thinking I might start that.
Yeah, I'll give you a little hack as well. If you like write it like it's already happened, that's when I've noticed the shifts happen. Because like you're writing it. So what another thing I'll always do is I'll like, dear diary, I'm so grateful that today X, Y happened. And then so I'm writing a journal as if it's already happened. And then I do that at the start of every month. So just before we go into December, I'll go, in December 2022, I was so grateful that I traveled the world to this place and met this person because it was so divine and it helped me elevate myself and the consciousness of others, whatever I'm trying to create that month. And it usually isn't anything big. Mostly I just want to create love and light for me and everyone I come in contact with, whatever way that is. So yeah, and oh my God, and in hindsight, I'm really, really kind of thinking about this now, because everything I wrote for August came true. Everything I wrote for September came true. Everything I wrote for October came true. And I said to myself, every month I want to travel to a new city. And I've done exactly that. And now this month I'm going to Amsterdam, and then next month I'm going to France. And it's just like, then I stop and think, everything I said has come true, because you are the creator. Like it's but you don't really think about that. You're like, whoa, actually, hold up a minute. This is exactly the life I've kind of pictured a year ago, and now I'm living it.
Yeah, I think it's so important to celebrate those and to pat yourself on the back and say, good job, You're not only happening and creating it, and even when you're feeling anxious, but that you're to, you know, like just in this conversation telling us about it. I want that for myself. I want to manifest, you know, and if it's so easy to forget that writing it down that it can happen. Your imagination is by you, by yourself. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for that reminder. That's really
Infinite reminders coming all around. Like I'm so glad you mentioned self-care, because like, oh wow, I'm so like this all feels divine every time we speak. You guys just remind me of so many beautiful things I need to carry on installing into my life.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, I think right now I'm going through a pretty rough patch the past couple of days, and I think the rough patches are getting rougher and the light patches are getting lighter, and they're both getting shorter and interchanging quicker. Speeds up. But looking back at what I've created in my life, I don't want to accept it. Like, I don't want to own it. I don't want to be like, yeah, I did that. Like, go me, because right now I'm in a dark patch, and it's like, if I've created all the light, I've also created all the dark, and I do not want to accept myself for creating this darkness that I'm experiencing, which is a very human thing to do. So, but I'm going through the motions. Like, it's really difficult. I also am experiencing a level of anxiety that I haven't experienced since high school, like since many years ago. Actually, it was quite a few years ago, actually. But yeah, it's just a lot is coming to the surface, and I think it's so difficult because I'm in a new environment, and I don't have my family so close with me anymore. So it's proving to be difficult, and it's like this level of like, in those high moments, in those light moments, I can be like, yes, I created this, that's so cool, I'm so proud of myself. The second I'm feeling low or feeling down, it's like, no, I didn't create this, I didn't choose this, like this complete denial of reality and of this part of myself, because everything that you're experiencing is part of you, and you can choose to accept or deny it. So I'm doing my best to observe that and accept it within me. But yeah, I think something that really helps me is journaling. I always journal, like you were saying, Lana. I definitely think that everything that I write comes true in a sense, and everything that I journal a little bit differently to you, where I journal mostly to connect to not so much like specific dreams or manifestations, but more to a beingness, like of my higher self or spirit guides, or whatever it might be. I journal usually to connect with myself, with my body, or with those higher powers. But I think using it as a avenue, like a direct avenue to create and manifest those things, is a tool that is very useful, and I want to do that because I have done it before. I can't remember if it's worked or not, but it was a while ago, and it was like one of those things where I wrote down to manifest, and then I kind of forgot about it, and I didn't be intentional with it. But also doing the monthly things is very powerful. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to get back into it. Yeah, and then another thing I also wanted to share, actually, I'm going to hand this over to Mum, but it's that thing that you shared from Jason Estes about the age, what age you're being. Do you remember you were sharing that with me, Mum?
I shared a couple of things from him.
Yeah, so because Lana, it reminded me because you were saying how you wasn't sure which version of you were being. Like there was teenage Lana and there was this Lana and there was that. So this, Mum was telling me the other day because I was telling her the exact same thing basically, and Mum was telling me about this post from Jason Estes of talking about age and how right now because of the shifts happening and how much we're changing, we're becoming immature a lot of the time, or like we're not settling into our actual age. So do you remember now, Mum?
Yes. So he was saying that to ground yourself and to experiencing all the feelings of all the ages we've ever been in our lives, like we're being discombobulated, kind of. In what moment we were when we first felt that feeling, which is kind of exactly what you would. So what you do is in that moment when ungroundedness and the anxieties, feeling all these emotions at the same time, and you ask yourself, what age am I right now? And then other information to come to you so that that spinning feeling slows down as they're experiencing, but it's going to help you to orientate yourself. And I follow him on Facebook, and afterwards his stuff pops up at the right time and just really helps me to navigate the energies and the interest of what's going on, and it just helps me to feel a little more navigated. Like I had just a little bit better. So yeah, I highly recommend people listening today and whoever listens in the future to go page and follow him, because he comes from stuff, and people in the comments too. People are sharing their experiences and to feel like you're not so alone in the tumble washer of these energies.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm really glad you said that. Sorry. I'm really glad you've said that about asking what age you are. That's really, really amazing. Because that's so we do a technique in NLP where you connect to your inner child at like the root of the first memory every time you felt a feeling based on whatever you're trying to heal. And wow, if you could just in a moment tune into your heart space, mind heart coherence, you know, just whatever your heart space. What age am I? There you go. This is the aspect of you. Like, wow, thank you for sharing that with me. Oh my God, I'm really, really blessed to know that.
Yeah, because information is available to us at any time. All we need to do is ask. But it's the remembering to ask part that I always stumble over.
Yeah.
I always forget to ask.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Or even just getting stuck in the loop of like in your subconscious mind where you're like arguing with parts of yourself. You forget, I already know the answer because I just need to ask. When you get stuck in the loop of thought, it's like,
yeah, 100%. Like it seems like such an easy thing and such a simple thing, and it is easy and simple, but remembering to do it. And I think that connects in with what we're talking about with self-care. You know, to take the time to stop when you're feeling that rush and that anxiety in your body, to just slow down a second and say, okay, what am I experiencing? How old am I now, right now? And that feeling of slowing down and having the wherewithal to sort it out inside yourself. And to know that you can do that, you know, have the faith in yourself that you have the ability to do that.
It definitely boils down to belief as well. Yeah, like if you believe in the moment, you're ready to receive. But if you're like kind of stuck in the loop of whatever subconscious mind, like part of your mind is playing a role at that time, you can just forget. And then it's like, it's almost like, so I read this thing. It was like 3 stages of awareness. 1, completely asleep. 2, in and out of autopilot, and 3, absolute God consciousness. Like I'm literally like a number 2. So like I'll go for like, so it used to be like months of on that. Like I think you mentioned this a minute ago, Juliet, how like the times between dark and light are getting shorter and shorter and closer together. Because before in the past it was like 3 months of pure bliss and love and like roses in my hair, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in flow state, what to create. And then like straight back down for like, you know, however long the period. I mean, the periods were never, which I'm quite grateful for. But now at the minute, in one day, like I have like half an hour flow state, half an hour demons, half an hour flow state, and it's like it's crazy, but it's a really nice reminder to when you do go there, like what age am I? Because wow, that's like an instant that you can kind of find out. Another thing, excuse me, another thing that's been coming into my consciousness now while we're talking, you guys will resonate with this because this is something that's been really intense for me to deal with. So I'm looking around my room at like my clothes and like my studio equipment and things like that, and I'm like, is this even me? So like and like so, and then I fight with myself because I know like when you're in a different mindset, it might not resonate with you because you're literally experiencing a different type of energy of you. So I'm glad you said that, like you mentioned going into the different ages. So that kind of made me think, oh, that makes total sense. Because if like 14-year-old Lana was looking at her studio equipment, of course she's not going to believe in herself, because 14-year-old Lana was in a place of not, you know, she wasn't quite there yet. So like, yeah, it's really weird. Like even to the point of like, I know I want to pursue music and pursue conscious music. I'm definitely, no matter what, going to keep showing up to. And but there's even a point this week where I'm like, is this me? Do I even want to be in a like a environment where everyone's drunk? I'm like on drugs potentially, watching me. Like obviously that's, you know, my way of getting my message across. So I know ultimately it's such a beautiful thing I'm doing. But there was all these parts of me that were like, you know, like coming up, like, you know, almost like self-sabotaging my, you know, something I'm working so hard towards. Last minute I'm like, but is it you, Lana? Is it you?
Yes. Oh my God, I so resonate with what you're saying. That it feels a little bit like imposter syndrome, you know, when your self-saboteur comes in and the little, you know, devil sits on your shoulder and says, well, is that really you? Like, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
I remember when I was young, so probably about 9 or 10, and I used to look in the mirror, and I don't know if you girls have ever done this, but I used to look in the mirror and sometimes I didn't recognize myself. The inside me, the person inside me, my spirit, my essence, would look at my flesh suit, my face, and I would be like, who is that person in the mirror? I don't know who that is. And I would look at myself every day, you know, to
Yeah.
do my hair or get dressed or whatever. But then all of a sudden, one day I would look in the mirror and go, oh, who is that? It was so weird at that age, at 9 or
Yeah.
10 years old. And, you know, eventually I grew out of it, and it stopped happening. But when it used to happen, it never freaked me out though. I wasn't like going, oh, I'm crazy, or, you know, I'm losing my mind. It was just a curious thing to me that that face was looking back at me. It was, yeah, it was so weird. So you talking about you sitting in your studio looking at all your stuff going, is this really me? That's the feeling I used to have just looking in the mirror. at that
Yeah, oh
age?
my God, I can't imagine being that young because like, like as a kid, I would have been really curious as well. I probably would have been feared of it. But then as an adult, because you've got all the programs and stuff,
Yeah.
I've probably not felt like that since I was like 16, 17. But this is when I first started getting into like the dark night of the soul, like very deeply. So I was like, what is the point? This world's so corrupt, you know, everything that kind of comes with that. Oh my God, there's darkness everywhere. Like, and I know the light and I can't be around this. So yeah, I remember looking in the mirror then, like complete, like, because I was doing psychedelic healing at the time as well. And then like when I stopped doing the psychedelic healing, I was looking in the mirror, seeing like, because at the time I was really poorly as well, seeing like how grey I looked and how like my skin was just like really, really, really bad. And like I was like, this isn't me though. This isn't this. I genuinely didn't recognise the skin suit, the flesh suit I was in, because through all this healing, when I tapped into that higher parts of me, I knew how I should have felt and how I should have felt looking at my skin suit, but I didn't feel that way. And I was like, what is this? Like, yeah. And I was like, about 17.
Have you ever
But
felt
because
like
I was
that,
17,
Juliet?
it
Have you
freaked
ever
me
had an
out.
experience like that?
Sorry, pardon?
I'm just asking Jay if she's ever felt like that. Like, have you ever had that experience?
Um, no, I don't. Oh, actually, no, that's a lie. Yes, I have, but it was more as a kid, and it wasn't so much anymore. But it was as a kid and as a teenager, and I still have moments where it isn't so deep. Like it's not to do with the mirror. It's just like I don't even know what this body is. Like this isn't what I look like, really. This is just like my vessel, and sometimes it does scare me. But for the most part, it's not too. I did experience that as a kid, but not so much anymore. It's more of this like awareness that this thing that everyone thinks is me actually isn't me at all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. The thing that people think is me isn't really me at all, because all they're seeing is the physical side of you and what you choose to bring out
The
of
voice,
your
yeah.
spirit. Yeah, wow, Juliet, that's profound.
Yeah, it's
Come
actually
out
so
with the most
like, wow,
profound
my
stuff
mind feels
sometimes.
like
What was that, Lana?
I was like, I've got a bit of brain soup going on now. Yeah, wow. I suppose as well that kind of falls into kind of what I was saying about these parts of me, because like I went through this phase of buying nothing but pink. And because I loved like the Barbie aesthetic, like the Y2K vibes, and like all of that stuff. And then like I low-key had a bit of a mental breakdown like about a month ago. But I was running around my room going, this isn't me. No, this is me. I was having an identity crisis. And then like later that day, I was like, no, it's not me, but I love the color pink, so just own it. So like, it's like what this is. If it makes the human aspect of you feel happy and cool and whatever, then it's okay. You're not harming your soul or yourself, you know. It's you and like that. I think that's what it boils down to. Because like, yeah, I was like beating myself up about all these little things, like, you know, because I was going through like so many different aspects of me. It feels like it feels like this is my consciousness and my parts, and this is like where it's going to be. But right now it's crunching and crunching and crunching. So there's just going to be one unified version of me with all these parts, all the best parts of these into that one. But whilst it's doing that, I'm having to undergo all the negative parts of myself, transmute them. But there's so much happening at once. And teenage Lana's so stubborn. Like she is really stubborn and wants to hold on to certain things with dear life. But then I also have been having a bit of a grieving myself. So the part of me that was always like had to have this barrier up of like, you know, nothing brings me down. I'm so strong and da 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 da. Like I don't need anybody. There was this big like almost like part of me, but it doesn't need to protect anymore because there's nothing to fight. So this part of me, I had to really grieve, and it was quite an emotional process in a good way, like in a really nice way. But it was I had to cry so long. was literally like saying goodbye to me. And this part of me, you know, got me through hell. This part of me saved my life. And I'm getting a little bit emotional thinking about it now, because like I'm still obviously healing that part of me. But yeah, it is crazy, because it's like, it is literally like your brain. And it's ultimately beautiful, you know, because healing and elevating to where we want to be. But it is a sad process sometimes. Version of Lana, she's badass, strong, like woman. But I can take the strength, but I don't need to take anything else with it, and I can send her off with love and light and bring her back in with love and light and just bring her back in.
So the Lana that you're becoming now, the integrated parts of you, how are you feeling about that?
So like, I guess just like I just said, I feel like sometimes I'm grieving, and then sometimes I'm like, so because of this whole going in and out of parts right this like very recently now, like the past 2 weeks, it's actually so hard to actually see this version of myself I'm becoming, because she's only here very minusculely. Like, whereas say about a month ago, she was here for a solid month. Like, she was here, like, you know, flow state, nothing could have brought me down, and I was in my true authentic state of being, no matter where I was and who I was around. And I still am doing that, but I'm experiencing, like, for example, like I started a spinning dance class, and like, it's absolutely amazing. It's something I'm thriving with, and I love it so much. It just feels angelic. But for myself, like the last class I went to, which should have been like pretty much every class I've been to, let's be so honest, I've had anxiety for like the first half an hour, which again is not like me. And then for the last half an hour, I finally just get into my body and I'm out my head again. But yeah, it's really, it's a really strange. And I'm glad you said about the age, because now I know that part of me is from teenage years. That was like 14-year-old Lana would have never done anything like that. So that's definitely an aspect of me I'm going to bring in and give some love to and transmute. But yeah, it's such a strange one. It's just so, there's nothing linear about this. So it's like, it's one, like if you spoke to me an hour ago, you're looking at me a totally different answer. But who knows?
So as you're talking, something occurred to me, that the Lana that you're becoming, and I think this is for all of us, the people that we're becoming, the woman that I'm becoming, the woman that you're becoming, the woman that Juliet's becoming. Do you think that this new woman, this integrated woman, because as you're transmuting these negative parts of yourself, this more integrated Lana is becoming more and more in reality. So do you think that she is bringing out those things from the past, those traumas and the things that you're grieving over? She's bringing them up to the surface to be looked at. So you just said that you would never have gone to that dance thing as a 14-year-old, but the new Lana that you're becoming wanted to do that because you are paying attention to the things that you want to do in your life and play more and be, you know, more of who you are, the pink things and the Y2K Barbie aesthetic and all of that. So is you delving into those things and giving yourself permission to be that Lana is bringing out those aspects of you that denied that when you were a kid. And so you're now able to be that age and forgive yourself for that and grieve that side of yourself now, so that you can become more of the new Lana and the beautiful person that, you know, that's emerging out of yourself now. Do you think that's, because that just dropped in for me as you were talking?
No, thank you so much. Oh my God, like, yeah, damn. Oh, so mad. That's just really hit my soul in a beautiful way, because like even today, like I'm experiencing anger again. Like I've not had anger in years. I've not been an angry person in years. But actually when that anger part of me comes up, it's like have a conversation with her. Don't fight her. Like she's here for a reason. And I think by you saying that, like my highest version of me is sending these lower aspects up to the surface to be transmuted and healed, loved, and brought back in. That's just like, yeah, I like, it's when you're in that higher place, that's what's happening. When you're in those, and like I've been writing things all over my house. So like, I'll read exactly what I've written on my wardrobe. 1 second. So I've drew a little picture of a brain, and then like a little speech bubble saying, "Oh, that's a funny thing my brain just said," to remind myself. And in massive bold letters, I am only thinking and speaking myself love. So like, because I'm consciously aware of all this stuff, so I'm not like, kind of falling into it, because I'm like consciously, like 2 minutes later, I'm like, oh, that was a denser part of me, or whatever I say, you know, something along the lines of that normally. But that's why I'm like, I need to relentlessly remind myself of this stuff. If that means literally painting it on my walls, so I every day see it, that is what I don't mind doing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
beautiful.
While you were talking, Lana, it like activated something. I don't know. It was just weird. I don't know. It brought me into. I mean, I'm still feeling quite low today, but it brought me into this higher perspective of life. And what I received was like, I'm still processing what I received. What I received was like, kind of just accepting what the power in accepting all versions of you, right? So, and the example that came to me while you were talking in my personal aspect of reality was that, by the way, I'm going to bring my mic up here. Hopefully it's helping with the background noise. So what actually helped me, what I'm actually going through, right, is I just started a new job while up here, and it's working in a bar as a bartender, and I've never worked as a bartender before. It was my first time ever wanting to do it, and the aspect of me that went and got this job has already been transmuted, because I'm now at a stage where it's like, okay, I've evolved and I'm now going to look for another job. But I was never, I mean, I think there was under the surface a little bit of anger towards myself for choosing to work at this job and like placing meaning on, oh, you've only been working there like 3-4 weeks, like that's kind of pathetic. Like that's, you know, I never thought that I would have a job for so little time. But what I realized is, no, I needed this experience. That version, that aspect of me at that time needed this experience, and that was the version of me that it served. Because, you know, otherwise I wouldn't have felt called to go and put my resume in. Otherwise, because it flowed so beautifully. Like, I walked up to this bar, handed in my resume. The boss said, "Oh, okay, cool. Do you want to come in next week for a trial?" And then I got the job. It was like that easy. It flowed that nicely. And so obviously it was meant to be during that time. And then now some stuff has happened, and I'm not wanting to place my energy. And it was very interesting yesterday because this was now after all this stuff went down at the staff meeting. Like, there was threats being made to the staff. It was very, very strong, not nice energy. Like, I don't know how else to explain it other than it was very dark and very strong masculine, like, but unbalanced masculine. And they were like making threats to all the staff, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to be in that workplace. And later on that day, I saw another, you know, like a work colleague, I don't know, like another staff member, I guess. Work colleague seems a bit too fancy, but you know what I'm saying. I saw him, like he walked past me, and I stopped him, and I'm like, hey, like, how do you feel about the staff meeting? Like, I was just putting feelers out to see, am I the only one that thought it was actually insane what they were saying? Anyway, turns out he was like, oh yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, what do you mean it's fine? They literally threatened us to, like, that's not cool. And he was like, nah, but they won't. They're just threatening us because they have to. And it just showed me that's how I used to think. And it was like, it just showed me how far I've come and how this version of me, yeah, it's not perfect. And yes, I make mistakes. And yes, I feel dark. But at least I view myself high enough and worthy enough of a better workplace than to be in that mindset of like, yeah, they threatened us, but you know, they only threatened us because they have to, not because they actually mean it. Whereas I could totally felt they meant it. They totally meant it. And yeah, it was just like, it was very intense. And I was talking to a friend about my whole experience, and this is what happens when you flow in life. It's crazy. I was talking to my friend about finding a new job, and she was like, well, where are you thinking of going? And I was like, oh, maybe at a crystal shop, that would be really cool. Maybe at this place or that place. And then she was like, hang on. But if you could, like, at the highest dream reality, if you could choose any job in the world, what job would you choose? And I said, straight away, I would want to be a tour guide with kayaking with dolphins. And then she was like, oh my God, yes, oh my God, let's create that. And then she said, my friend, her partner is actually working at this place. I'm sure you could do it. And I said, yeah, but do I have to have kayaking experience? I mean, I know how to kayak, but I'm not like professional or anything. And she said, yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm sure we can ask my friend's partner about it. In a second, like not in less than a minute, we walk up to we keep walking, and then there he is with her friend and the partner that works at the kayaking place, like that. And it was like, what the heck? So yes, so I was like mind blown a little bit, and he gave me the email to the boss, like to the place to apply, and I was like, okay, cool, I've got the email, I've got the name of the boss, like let's do this. So yeah, I'm hoping to create that job instead, and we'll see how it goes. But you know, I think there needs to be some focus, and I'm saying this to myself as well as, you know, whoever's watching, and to both of you, that there needs to be some focus on appreciation for every version you're in, and the good and the bad in that, because you're flowing for a reason. And if you fully accept those darker parts of who you are in those moments, it still creates that flow, because it creates a flow to let it being brought up. Like, for example, previous version of Juliet obviously needed to learn some lessons. There was some shadow that needed to be cleared, and then that's why I was put in this position, because it flowed. It wasn't like I was fighting the universe for this job. It was like, this is just what's happening. And same now with this kayaking job. And I think that's a really big juxtaposition from before, like just settling for a job that I wanted to experience. I wanted to be a bartender, and it was like, let's try and create this. But I knew I still wanted to do kayaking, but it was like, yeah, but I don't think I can do that, so let's just do bartending. And it still flowed, and there was still lessons, but this time it was like complete evolution, complete inner self upgrades for it to happen like that. Like, what are the chances? Yeah, so I just wanted to share that. I'll yeah, I'll put the talking stick back in the middle now.
Awesome, Juliet. I love that.
Oh, it's so crazy, isn't it? I love that. It's just flow state, synchronicities.
Oh, well, we've been going for 50 minutes. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we go?
Just add to what Juliet said. So like, I've learned like two things about myself recently. So like, one, definitely when you're in like, you know, flow state, things just flow. Whatever's meant to be is meant to be. But what I've noticed recently about flow state is like little things about like this dance class that I'll go to every Monday and Tuesday. Every single week, I'm not even going to say the words, but in the past, it used to occur that every time I would go, something would block me from going, because the younger aspect of me was like trying to self-sabotage it. So, but then I was going, but if it was meant to be, wouldn't it just flow? But it was just like the test. It was like, no, like this is something that brings you so much joy, keep showing up. But I think it's really funny, because it's like yeah, well, you know when things are just flowing, because things are just flowing, but it's almost like you flow for so long, and then the universe is like, here's another test. Like, you know, are you going to stay on your path of true, whatever that is to you? If not, here's another test.
So it's like it's building resilience in you. These tests are building resilience in you to grab onto the things that you really want.
Mm-hmm.
So you constantly saying to you, is this what you really want? And if that test makes you falter and you go, no, I don't, this is too hard, it knocks you off that path into a new path. But if it's like, no, this, I don't care how many tests you put in front of me, I'm going to continue down this road because I love it. And it builds
Yeah.
that muscle of love for that thing. And you're constantly, it's like, it is like a muscle. Resistance builds the muscle. And so the longer you stay on the path and the more tests you go through to get what you want, it makes it all the more worth it because you know you really truly love
Yeah,
that
it
thing.
does. Because you've kept strength, it does. It builds you up from the ground up. And I love that Juliet said about how like when she went to the job at the bar, like she needed to do that from that part of herself.
Yeah.
But it totally reminded me of I can't even tell you his name, but someone I followed for years. I'll have to PM you him, and he's incredible. Every time he makes an energy update, it's so coinciding with me. And he spoke about his wife. For like 20 years, she done millions of different spiritual ventures, so many different things, from like Reiki to crystal healing to like sound bath healing, like sometimes opposite end of the spectrums of healing. But now she calls herself a quantum healer, and every single last thing that she needed for that divine path. So like you never know, that one, like that little short-lived experience working at the bar, there might have been one thing that occurred that you needed to learn for the path you're going on to next. And even if that was that dude and he was like, oh yeah, they didn't mean it, they're not going to do it, and like you were like, actually no, I have more respect and more self-worth than to even if they didn't mean it. I do not want to be in a negative environment because I am worthy of so much more than that. Even if that was just the lesson for you, damn, can I get a hallelujah, because we're going in. And like, so it's like you're getting there, even if you feel like, oh, I only worked there for I only worked there for 2 weeks. What was the point? There was always like a divine point to it. Even if it's something like, for me, I sold healing boxes for like not that long, about 2 months. And I did actually get some decent sales in the first month. Then by the second month, nothing for weeks. And I was like, but it was a direct no, that this isn't for you, but you needed to do that to download all those other things that are coming. Because of selling these healing boxes, I met so many people that channeled so many creative ideas in me that wow, thank God I did do that, because I would have known all these other things.
Yeah, perfect.
I also wanted to add again to what Lana was saying, because it's so true, right? It's so easy to get caught up in the ego's, meaning of things, like, oh, you were only there for 3 weeks, like not really taking in how much I learnt in those 3 weeks. Or it was more like a month, but in that time, like I learnt so much, and there's still so much more to learn because I haven't quite quit yet, but I will. Because there's going to be lessons in that. But I learned how to work at a bar. I know how to pour drinks. I know how to work in that setting. So when next time, if I do want to work in a bar again, I can say, yeah, I know how to work in a bar. Yes, I know how to pour a beer. Yes, I know how to do this. So there was, just at that level, there was, lessons to be learned. Then there was also receiving experiences with customers and like the kind of, I know now if I work in a restaurant, I would want to work in one with live music because it brings me joy in my work, because this bar had live music every night and it was so amazing, so much fun. And so I would love to experience that again. Like there's so much I absorbed from this time, even though it was short-lived. And I agree with what you were saying, Lana, about like trying this and trying that, and like just, being open to experiences. And, there's going to be lessons in quitting as well, because I do really want to say something, which I never, Mum will attest to this, I do not confront people very often. But, and especially the boss guy, he is scary, okay? He is scary. But I want to say something. Like, I want to say that is not appropriate behavior, what they did. I want to speak up for myself and nurture, become an adult by nurturing my inner child in that way. And yeah, speak to that part of me before, you know, when I quit, and say like, hey, that ain't okay. Because there was an experience previously at work where something happened and a boss was actually quite disrespectful and rude to me, but I was so shocked and I didn't say something. And I think this is now that reoccurring for me to stand up in my power and be like, hey, it's not okay to treat people like that. Don't treat me that way, please. That sort of.
It's a really powerful thing, giving yourself a voice, and it takes sometimes feels like forever. And like even me, sometimes I struggle to speak up. But when you say that, it's really incredible that you've had that kind of shift in yourself to actually this isn't okay, and I'm not okay with not voicing how I feel. It's a really powerful step in an adult when you part of you to come up to the surface and go, actually, my inner child is not okay with that. My adult part's not okay with that. And together with the softness of my inner child and the authority of me being an adult, I'm with love and compassion and let you know that I don't like that. And you know what? The minute I've started doing that, actually, there's not one person in my life that I would say would ever disrespect me now. There's not one person, even when I go out, so like this was quite a while ago, this was August, I went out drinking. Was a fence in the beer garden, and my friend dropped a vape, so I was like, oh, I'll get it. So I like bent over, half climbed over the fence to pick it up, and then security guard was like screamed across the beer garden, and something like, you fucking idiot, something like that. And I jumped down straight away. I was like, pardon? And she was like, you fucking idiot, that's so dangerous. And I came up to her really politely and really calmly. I went, I'm really, really sorry if I shouldn't have done that. Like, I understand if that was wrong. But if you'd like me to feel, or if you'd like me to not do that, tell me from a place of peace and love, because nobody wants to be called names, especially when they had no clue they were doing something wrong. And she kept on starting it, and then eventually, by 10 minutes of me talking in a really soft voice, like even another security guard nearly had to like split us up for the first 2 minutes because she just wouldn't listen. And then by 10 minutes in, she's listening, she said sorry, she gave me a hug, and then all night was like complimenting me, like kind of, she really actually, oh, actually, hold on a second, I don't know, like, you know, I just hugged her for no reason really. And that is, speak your truth in every situation. Always stay true to that voice. And if you do feel something in your soul that's saying, you know, you need to say this, say it. And like, wow, you're like crazy. Actually, I've only been doing this for about 3 weeks, a month, but oh my god, even though today it's really dense and anxious, I've been staying true to that part of me. Is in like friendships, relationships, whatever that is, even with my parents, so not my mum but my dad. I needed to voice a lot of things to him, and even though I didn't get the reaction I kind of wanted, I'm so fulfilled and proud that I have actually just spoke what I needed to say, and it didn't even matter about the reaction anymore. It's just about me really in the end. What do I need to do?
Yeah, wise words, Lana. Beautiful. I mean, people struggle with that at my age, you know, like it doesn't matter what age you are, people struggle with confrontation, and coming into confrontation with that heart space and the love for yourself, love enough for yourself to speak softly, and in loving yourself, in coming into the space in that energy, you're loving the other person because they came in, she came into your consciousness with that barking, you know, that where are you idiot name calling thing, but you came to her in her energy with love and compassion for yourself and for her, showing her that there was another way, like actually in reality showing her by using a soft tone and loving words and explaining to her how it made you feel that she was calling you names and things like that. So there's so much to be said for that kind of bravery, and that in for me, like, because I'm a lot older than you girls, that to me is the ultimate self-love, to be able to go into a confrontation with somebody with that kind of control and that space, being in that space of love, and showing up in the face of that name calling, that hard energy, that spiky energy with that soft energy, that's Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Divine, actually. Like, it is really incredible. I've noticed with a few other situations in the past few months where I've been presented with actually really quite from a 3D term, right, quite scary things. Like, I won't go into too much detail, but there's been a time in the past few months where I was presented with quite a violent person, but I went in with my soul and my heart, and I didn't even speak. I just was love. I just felt love, and he physically couldn't touch me. As much as he was about to actually physically lay hands on me, he couldn't, because I was in that place of love. So yeah, it's so powerful. And like, I remember speaking about this recently, actually, to someone, reflecting on times in my life. There's been so many moments in my life when I've been presented with maybe danger or something bad, but if I stay nothing but love, no matter what, just pure love, oh, like, you can't go wrong. Nothing can get you, like, literally nothing can get you, because the love in you is almost seeing the love in them, whether they, no matter what kind of emotions going through them, that's kind of the only truth. And what I noticed in this conversation is it took a lot of, like, love, so much love, like picking away so much love, to finally she was like, whoa, she finally understood. And patience, you've got to be patient and actually see these people with actual love, or it doesn't work. You actually have to be actually compassionate, or it doesn't work. You've got to see people as you know, if someone's acting in that way, it's because it's a lack of love. And a lack of love, if you can show them that love in that moment, wow. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a really good point to finish our conversation on, because we're at an hour now. So thank you, Lana, for coming on with us. It's always a pleasure. I love our conversations. You are pure love, and we love that.
Thank you.
So,
I really, really enjoyed it too. Like, this, every time it was like a divine universal sign. Like, even today, I've been in such a dense headspace, and it felt like here. I've had no thoughts, really. The only thoughts I've had are 2 downloaded things I wanted to talk about that were really important. I've been really, like, so I'm really grateful for both of you. Thank you so much. I really, really can't give enough love.
awesome. Mwah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you. Oh, such a beautiful call. Such a beautiful, beautiful call. I learnt a lot.
And until next time, bye.
Sending love to everyone. Bye.